Hey. First things first, thank y'all for watching my videos. I appreciate it. My name is Alicia Haskett, and I am a trailblazer. I'm a founder. I am an international boudoir photographer and author. And my purpose in life, other than doing my hair and doing all of this, is to guide Black women into loving themselves as they are now. Like that's just it. 10 toes down for us. Today, I want to talk about something that's very interesting. And what I want to talk about is respectability politics, as well as giving yourself grace, right? Hold on. Lord, I'm going to have grease everywhere. So recently, like in the last week or so, there was two things that happened. Two posts that I saw. Actually, there were three in essence. One was from a young lady who worked at Home Depot, right? And from what I understand, she was just showing a picture of herself. She was fully covered, she's very pretty. And she put up a picture, and I think she had some information. I'm going to put it up here so you can see it. What was interesting about this is that she was doxxed. And if you don't know what doxing is, it's when someone takes your your information, not public, and makes it public. So her address, where she works, and they made it public. And what's so crazy about this is that people were basically giving her props, and by people I mean men, were giving her props for, covering herself and having a job and doing blah, 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 right? But yet at the same time, they were sending her DMs asking her to make a OnlyFans, sending her DMs showing pictures of their penises, sending DMs. Even Shaq sent her a DM. And this is a young, she's not a girl, she's a young lady, right? And so it's just like, what? And then on the other side of that, you had Suki, who, if you don't know who Suki is, this is who she is right here. And Suki was at two different things. She was one on a podcast. I think it was Candy's podcast.
No, seriously, because some people got all their dick.
About it.
Can we calm him down? I can't even turn up because he's been waiting at the door for me.
What the sniffing though?
You are aggressive.
She love that shit. Man, look at her. She like that old shit.
No, I don't.
And the man that was on the podcast with her was so disrespectful. And I think he sent her like a dick pic, right? And then was being disrespectful to her. And so she called him out on it and was like, I only talk about that shit in the bedroom. Like, I'm not going to talk about that stuff here. Even though she's a very sexual person based on what she puts out, what she displays. Like, that's who she is. If you've watched her stuff, if you've seen her interview, that's how she talks, right? And so, but she made she said, this is a boundary that I have, right? And you're stepping over it. Then she went to an event, and this man comes out of nowhere and starts kissing her. And there are men around her, and nobody says anything.
Oh my!
Oh, she
He grabs her face, and she's saying no. And there were men that just sat there and watched this happen. And of course, the discourse on social media was pretty much like, okay, and because she is, for lack of a better term, a woman that because I think all women should be respected, that people should not have to respect because of how she presents to society. Because she is so sexual, this is a part of who she is as a person. So why should her boundaries be respected? Why should the rules that she has for herself in regards to others be respected? And then on the other side, you have the other young lady who was fully dressed, taking the picture, had her uniform stuff on, who had to quit her job and move because of people doxing her. And so the reason why I put those two things together and I talk about respectability politics is because for Black women, respectability politics will not save us. It won't save you, sis. It will not save you because people do not respect women. You can dress as modestly as you would like. You can say the right things. You can sit the right way. You can eat with the right fork. You can do all these things. Have your degrees, all of that. And people will still not respect you because you are a woman. They won't see the value in you because you are a woman. And it makes me, in a way, so mad because I see this happening where they, and by they I mean whomever, teach young girls that they have to be a certain way. They can't dress this way. They can't talk this way. You have to be ladylike. And then the problem is, as they grow older and they start to see that, hey, if I want a partner, talking about heterosexual relationships, I'm supposed to be this way. I saw it so much, especially in school, where I saw women, especially black girls, I would say, who were heavily in the church, and they were told you had to act a certain way. You had to dress a certain way to be rewarded by you acting this, being modest, doing all this stuff, and then you would be rewarded and have a husband who would take care of you, who would treat you well, who would do all the things he's supposed to do. And now that they are in their 30s, 40s, they're not married, and they start to realize, oh shit. And then what I see is either one or two things happen. Either they become bitter because they are like, well, how are you getting the things that you got and you were, for lack of a better term, a hoe? How are you being able to have this man who is showing up for you and blah, 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 blah. And I don't have that, but I did everything right.
Worker. So today my boyfriend and I will be filming some spicy content for my
Okay, I'm not being rude, and this is not to be disrespectful to this girl in any single way. This is not coming at her at all, but I'm offended because I am a 29-year-old professional in a respectable job. I own my own place. I pay my own bills. I pay my own way. I have only had 2 boyfriends in my lifetime, and the one lasted 6 years, the other one lasted 3 years. I don't even post my ankles, much less my thighs, much less my ass on social media. All you getting is head and shoulders like the shampoo. All you getting is a mugshot. Bitch, I never got pregnant, dropped out of school, had an abortion, joined the gang. If you was to look on social media right now, you will find nothing. You're not going to find news. You're not going to find me fighting people online. You're not going to find me doing none of that. The most you'll see me doing is cracking some goddamn jokes. And I'm single. Okay.
I did what I was supposed to do. I did what I was told to do. I made sure that I dressed modest. I made sure that I was ladylike. I made sure that I stood in place to get picked. And now I didn't get picked. And what is happening? And what is going on? And so I want to say, sis, release yourself from the dumb shit. Release yourself from being in the space where you feel that you have to act or look or dress a certain way to be in the space where people respect you. I had this conversation with my father. He has 3 girls, and I am the most, I would say, the most like him when it comes to these conversations, because I don't give a, And so I was explaining to him that how you dress, it doesn't matter, because men will still not respect you. It doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter. And I had to give him the same thing. I said, why do you think that in the 50s, when we were fighting for just equality, that we would get dressed up so nicely and they would sick dogs on us? They would put hoses on us. They would throw food on us. They would spit on us. They would beat us. It didn't matter what we wore, because they still saw us as less than human. And so the same way that you feel and how you think about women being respected if they dressed a certain way is the same exact way that history also shows us that shit don't matter. So this is me saying to you, sis, I want you to dress the way you want to dress. I want you to do the things you want to do. I want you to show up for yourself in ways that you never thought were possible, because it's you. Like, society is going to always tell you that you need to be a certain way, you need to act and dress a certain way, but yet you're not going to be rewarded for that. I think that's one thing that we've been taught, is that you're going to be rewarded for acting and looking this way. And we know that shit ain't true. It ain't true. And I can say this because I know that, that is how I grew up in a way as well. Like, I remember one time I was out, and I think I had my stomach out, and I'm from Baltimore, so we had Artscape, and I had my stomach out. I don't remember, I was a teenager, but I don't remember how old I was. And my dad came up to me and like tapped me on my back, like, what is this? What are you? And I'm just like, I literally am a teenager with my stomach out and a skirt on. I'm fine. But we always try to put these conditions on women, but we don't put the same conditions on men. So like I said, it is time for us to just redefine what it means to love ourselves in a way where we get to show up and just be ourselves. And I want that for each and every one of you. I love that about a lot of the women that I am working with now, is that they really truly show up for themselves in ways that I didn't even think were possible years ago. And it's just because they've really divested themselves from the notion that they have to show up for other people's respect. And it's something that I see a lot of, like, respect has to be earned, respect has to be earned, respect, but it doesn't. Because you're going to respect me or disrespect me based on how you view me. So why do I have to do anything for you to feel like I've earned it from you? Like, that's not how this works. And we know that's not how this works. So please stop with the BS. And also with that, I want to say, give yourself grace when you fall into this trap of trying to, I wouldn't say trying to get on other people about it, but when you fall into the trap of being in a space where you were like, well, why does she have that on? Or why does this? And like, as a woman to another woman, instead of doing that, you need to say, okay, what makes me internalize these feelings that she, to me, is not adequate. It's not adequate enough. Or that's not the word I'm looking for. She is showing up as herself, and why can't I? And I have a problem with it. So yes, she's wearing something that I don't think is appropriate for her, but why is it me? Why am I having a problem with this? Instead of just either saying, hey sis, I love your look, or not saying anything at all and just keeping it moving. And I think that's something that we do a lot of, because I see it so often on social media where we will talk cash money shit about other women and degrade other women. And it's like, but why? Why do you feel the need to tell someone something about themselves if they are living in their joy? Like, if you can see this person and see that they are happy with what they have on, what they're doing, and you find fault in that, I think it's time to be like, what is the matter with me? Like, why am I upset that this person loves themselves in this way that they would put this on? That to me doesn't make sense. And moving into what happened with Suki and the other young lady, it's a very glaring thing to see that it doesn't matter how you show up. Doesn't matter. Because when you have both of these spectrums, you have Suki, who is extremely sexual when it comes to what she puts out into the world, right? The way she talks, the way she dresses. And then you have this other young lady who, for all intents and purposes, was covered up. I think she had like a turtleneck on and everything. And she still was not respected because people were still doing things that harmed her. And then you have Suki, who still had something done to harm her. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because people still will not respect you. So do what the fuck you want. I say this all the time. I say it all the time. I went to an event maybe a week or so ago, and one of the young ladies there was like, I'm a people pleaser. Like, I always want to make sure that I am showing up for others and doing things for others and making sure that I this and this and this. And I was like, girl, for what? Why? Like, there's a difference between you showing up for your community because your community shows up for you. But if you are showing up and you are not receiving that same level of reciprocity, you are, one, after the first time, okay. Second time, third time, you are no longer a victim. You are an active participant in your degradation. So when I'm talking to us right now, as Black women, continue to put ourselves in these positions to be people pleasers, to degrade other women because of how they're dressed, how they're looking, and they're happy with themselves, then we can't be saying, oh my God, I can't believe that somebody would say that or somebody would do that. Like, why would they treat her like that? And we are active participants in our own demise. We can't do that anymore. That's not the community we are trying to create. That's not the community I'm trying to create. And so what I really want for us to do is, when we see that happening, instead of arguing with the people who happen to be in the comments or anything like that, show up for that person. Send them a message. I love what you're doing. I love what you did. I love your outfit. I love blah, 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 blah. Be the voice, the louder voice, instead of trying to argue with and saying things about them. Or just don't say shit at all. Just like what they have and keep moving. What I am seeing at this time is a major push for us to be okay with showing up as we are. And also giving grace. Like, I want us to give grace to each other so fucking bad. The way we give grace to people in our lives that don't deserve it is the way we still need to give grace to ourselves and to the women in our lives, to the girls in our lives. We need to show up and give them that same grace that we give to people who do not deserve it. And I'm being dead ass honest, because I see it so often where people are talking craziness about the girls in our community and how they're dressed and how they're showing up. And yet they won't give them grace to say they're trying to figure it out. Like we tried to figure it out. But it's not even the same, because they're trying to figure themselves out in a space that is fucking crazy. Like the social media space, the TikTok space. Like, you can be seen by millions of people for something that, as a young person, when you get to be an adult, you look back and like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, what is this? But they don't have the option to erase that. So we need to give these babies grace. We need to give ourselves grace. And I say that too because I see Chloe, and how Chloe is, in real time identifying what her sexuality is. And she's in her early 20s. So we're seeing her show up for herself and really trying to figure out who she is as an artist, and also as a young woman, as a Black young woman on this worldwide stage. And then you see her sister, who is doing the damn thing as well. And I see people trying to put them together and say, look at her sister, she's so wholesome, she's so pretty, she's doing this, she's doing that, and she ratchet as fuck, and I love it. Right? She goes hard for her sister. And then you have her sister, who you can see has always been like that one that's like, I'm into it, I'm boisterous, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. And you would think that she would be the one like her sister is. But it's interesting to see how people are attacking her for literally just growing pains. Like, she is going through growing pains. And it's interesting to see how she has to do that on this world stage. And I want people to give her grace for that. I want people to say, especially Black women, like, sis, don't worry about it. We see you. We got you. We all make mistakes. As a 24-year-old woman, 25-year-old woman, like, we've all made mistakes. So let us support you in what you're doing instead of bashing her, instead of talking about her, instead of talking about how she's too sexual and she's too this. Like, she is literally growing up, and they both have grown up before our eyes. And so she is just trying to find and figure out who she is as a young Black woman on a worldwide stage. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we get to see it, but we also get to see how she's navigating this in a way that, nobody in her family probably has ever had to do. Yes, she has her sister, but her sister has taken a different path, and people are trying to put them against each other. And I think it's so crazy. It takes me back to that first video that I did about Janelle Monáe, and how Janelle Monáe is like titty everywhere. Like, literally, even on her album, when you have her album, if you have the actual record, the vinyl, you open it up and it's a picture of her titties. So that is something that we're seeing more of. We're seeing more of Black women like getting into that space where they are like, hey, I am exploring what it means to be a sexual, sensual Black woman. And I need to understand what that means for me. It's just that right now we are seeing it in real time on social media, and everybody has an opinion about it. And it's a shame, because I feel like, and we know that as Black women, we are under a lot of pressure. We are under a lot of pressure from society, from other people, from our families, from our friends, to show up and be a certain way. And then when we deviate from that, it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. So if you ain't hear anything I said, I want you to show up for yourself. I want you to show up big for yourself. If you have been a person that has been a people pleaser, if you've been a person that has always wanted to do something, but you felt like, oh, what is my family going to say? What are my friends going to say? Just do it. As long as it doesn't hurt you or anyone, then just do it. Wear that crop top, girl. If you want to wear a short skirt, wear it. If you want to show up for yourself in ways that you didn't think were possible, then do it. Who's going to tell you? Who going to check you? Like, who going to check you? And if they do try to check you, you say, I'm living in my joy. I'm living in my pleasure. I'm living in my happiness. I'm showing up for myself. And if you are in a space where you don't have people who are doing the same thing, the one thing I love about the internet is you can find a community anywhere. Like, you literally can find a community that will feed into you properly and will show up for you. Like, I have some internet friends that I will ride for, and I ain't never met them in person, ever. But the community that we have created allows for me to be like, hey, how you doing? I know their family. I know them kids. I know where they work. Like, all these things I know about them because we just made this community and it just works for us. Like, that is what I want for you. To find a community where you get to show up as your full, authentic self. Like, that is what I want for all of us. How do we show up for ourselves in a way that allows us to feel whole, feel connected? Because if I know one thing, and I'm going to talk about this in another video, the one thing that is going to save us is community. Nothing will save us but community. Not money, because I always hear that, generational wealth, generational wealth. Money ain't going to save us. Community is. Because your community can step in for you when your money ain't good. Your community can step in for you when you're in pain. Your community can step in for you when you are grieving. Your community can step in for you when you just need a shoulder to lean on. Like, your community is you. And you are your community. So, with that being said, show up how you want to. Because somebody always going to have something to say. And it could be good or bad, but they're going to have something to say. So even if you were on this spectrum, this sexy spectrum, where we had Suki at one end, and then this other young lady who was dressed modestly, based on our standards, and still was disrespected. Just go ahead, sis. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Just live your life as you see fit. Because, as I said, everybody always gonna have something to say. But if they're gonna have something to say, you might as well enjoy it. You might as well live it up. You might as well have a good time. You might as well figure out what joy looks like for you and practice that every day. You might as well buy that or do that or sing that or dance like that, because somebody's always gonna have something to say, because you Black and you a woman. We've been policed since I don't even know how long. So go ahead and do it. As long as you're not gonna hurt nobody, as long as you don't hurt yourself, do it. And have your community around you to hype you up every time. As always, I just want to end this with, you are your longest and most expensive relationship. So any money or time that you spend on yourself is never money or time wasted. It's money or time invested in you being your favorite version of yourself. Like, that's just what it is. Check back, because I'm going to be having videos for our Cartagena trip, which I'm excited about. Like, if this video resonates with you, you might just want to come with us to Cartagena. We are going next year, June 13th through the 18th of 2024. And I just had an amazing conversation with my good sister, Camilla Davis. And Camilla Davis is the one who taught me about defining pleasure, and also taught me about pleasure being our birthright, just because we exist. So I'm going to link that video in this so you can see our live together when we talked about it. And it's going to be an amazing experience. So if you're interested, just go ahead and click on the link. It's going to be below here. But thank you for watching these videos. I'm definitely going to try to put out more as things happen, because like, people want us to be a certain way so bad, but they can't even do the things that they want us to do for themselves. So show up for yourself every single day. I love you. I see you. And until next time.